I asked people to recommend me books they didn't like, and now I'm reading them. And I have officially finished book 25 of the challenge, which was Local Woman Missing by Mary Kubica. And you want to know something? I made it all the way to the finale of this book without any strong opinions, but I have them now. I ended up giving this book 2.75 stars. The reading experience is getting the same. Now, regarding the book itself, I was going to give it 3. I really, really was. It was pretty middle of the road the whole time. The writing is average. The plot was like average leaning good. It had some execution problems. I had at least one character, which was Leo, that I liked, and I was curious about how things were going to end in spite of the things about it that I disliked. And then the last 25% was the iceberg that sank the ship. What a letdown. The ending of this book was so rushed that I actually cannot believe it. There are multiple details that are revealed towards the end. And if you want my opinion, the best one wasn't even the biggest one. It was the first one. Like, we were onto something there. And then all of the consequential reveals that happened were just so rapid fire. And to me, they were missing the emotional impact because none of the characters besides Leo, which actually divert, I need to take a second and recognize the fact that he was the only one who got even close to the appropriate level of angry, and he's not the adult in the room. But anyway, besides him, all of the characters had really little depth, and that's still really not saying that much because Leo himself was still pretty shallow. But I say all that because when we got to the end, it felt like we knew so little about some of the characters, and I cared so little about some of the characters that when the big moment happened, it felt like it was dropped out of the sky, it blew everything up, and then 50 pages later, somehow everything is fine because kids are resilient. The fuck? The more that I think about it, the more that I believe that the beginning was the strongest part of the book. Those first few chapters, if it had continued like that, I would have been in hook, line, and sinker. And that kind of ties into like why your reading experience is getting the same score. I was willing to overlook some of the oddities when it came to the writing in favor of what was happening. Because those first few chapters were so compelling, then the trajectory changed and it just kept going down. It was nice and mindless, and I'll give it that and points because that is exactly what I wanted. And then the abrupt and dissatisfying way that it ended was just like the cherry on top. I would consider my palate at least partially cleansed, though. I didn't like it overall, but it's really not that deep. It did serve its purpose. And we're moving on. No way! So the book that the wheel landed on was Once Upon a Broken Heart by Stephanie Garber. If you'll recall, I read Caraval not that long ago, did not like it at all. But I am excited about this one. It was recommended 9 times between the wheel and all the lists, and it looks like the audiobook is available on Hoopla. Based on what you know about me, how I read, do you think I'm going to think that Once Upon a Broken Heart by Stephanie Garber is trash or treasure?